Yo, Jay, can we get some ratchet one time? Look, I don't wanna talk. How you try and press the kid and read it, you was soft. All you know is capping, homie, you don't know the law. Pedal to the metal.
Bruh, that's a real clip?
Yes. Yo, stop playing, man. What are you doing?
Nah, bro. Bro, what the fuck?
Chill, that's not even
橋原までね、膝基準を回すこと以外に
ですか、
なかったんです。
た
ただもんじゃないですね。
結構ね、ルイズ・プリモ選手の情報って意外と少ないですよね。
少ないんですよ。SNS でね、膝基準を回しながら戦う姿の動画がですね、めちゃくちゃバズったんですが、そのバズった以上の情報が入ってこないんですよね。
What the fuck?
今度はピザ
Dude, that was awesome. That was absolutely wonderful. Cyber, sir.
That was just, he was very athletic there. Definitely talented, most definitely, but not being in English was kind of funny. So, yeah, that was interesting. That was interesting.
Andres, did you know about? He's got the fucking pizza roll, dough thing going, or whatnot, with this wrestling shit.
There you go, people.
I don't know.
I didn't know maybe you were his agent or something, or
Excuse me,
what?
sir. Don't do wrestling. And first off, you cannot do a piece of dough during the fight. I don't know how you do that. This is incredible.
He threw it at the other guy caught it.
Oh yeah.
Very
amazing.
Anyways, folks, these are all obviously this stuff is very integral to. There you go, Cyber. I'm done. Thank you to Wrath of Khan for those videos, folks.
Way to go, Rathacon. Anyways, folks, welcome to the MCU's Bleeding Edge. We are live Wednesday night, May 22nd, 2024, to discuss the first sequel to the Back to the Future trilogy, Back to the Future Part 2. That's right. So, this bad boy made its mark on November 22nd, 1990. It was, 4 years later that it got released after the original film. It was actually filmed in 1990 before it got released in, or I should say in 89. Sorry, November 22nd, 1989, folks. So sorry about that. The third one was released in 90. But anyway, so November 22nd, 1989 is when this bad boy got released. And like I said, it was filmed actually in 89 and was released the same year. They only had, I believe it was 8 months that it took for them to put this together and edit it and release it in November of 89. So I think that's pretty impressive, especially because they were filming part 3 as well at the same time. So I think that's pretty cool. So this, of course, was directed by the great Robert Zemeckis. He directed all 3 films. He directed the original film as well, and is a great director. He's directed a lot of great films over the years. If you have not seen anything else he's directed a lot of great films. If you have not seen What Lies Beneath with Harrison Ford and Michelle Pfeiffer, great film. He directed that. Came out 99, I believe. Another great one of his films. But yeah, this is just a really fantastic film. Great cast. I mean, Michael J. Fox, Christopher Lloyd, Elizabeth Shue, Leah Thompson, Thomas F. Wilson, starring in it, Jeffrey Wiseman, who actually replaces the original Marty McFly Sr. or George McFly. Played by Crispin Glover in the original film. He actually was recruited to basically put on prosthetics and pretend to be Crispin Glover for this film. Simply for the fact that Crispin Glover they had to replace him because he just kind of went off the rails when it came to basically getting the part again. if you did not know that. He actually made a big stink about it. He didn't care too much for the script, where it was going with his character, and he started making a lot of demands, so they decided to move on with him. And then if you remember later on, a few years down the road after this came out, he actually sued Robert Zemeckis and Universal and stuff like that for using his likeness without his permission. And there was a big battle there too. But yeah, Jeffrey Wiseman took over that role in this film. Sounded just like him too. I thought he did a good job. Now, if you're not familiar, Claudia Wells originally played Michael J. Fox's girlfriend in the original film. She was replaced by Elizabeth Shue in this film. Claudia Wells actually didn't come back because she decided to take care of her family tragedy that she was dealing with at the time. She had a family member that died, and so she decided to deal with that versus coming back for the sequel. So that's why they ended up getting Elizabeth Shue. And also that's the reason why the beginning of this film is filmed exactly how the last film ended, to reintroduce the character of Marty's girlfriend and put in Elizabeth Shue as the character, so that you thought this whole time it was her the whole time. So that was kind of the idea behind redoing that.
I did think it was her the whole time.
Did you really?
Yes, I never knew that was Elizabeth Shue at all until you mentioned it.
Yeah. So yeah, Elizabeth Shue replaced Claudia Wells from the first film. Yeah. So, I mean, great cast. I mean, Leah Thompson was great in this. So is Christopher Lloyd. Thomas F. Wilson as Biff is great. This is just a really great sequel, and it's my all-time favorite of the trilogy. I've always loved this one. It's always been my favorite, especially because, you know, it went into the future, brought us to 2015, which is so funny that 2015 now is 9 years ago. That's hilarious to think that we're 9 years ahead of 2015 now in current times. So, it's funny talking about 2015 a little bit, because 2015 in reality was so far different than the 2015 depicted in 1989. So I think that's pretty funny. All right. So this movie was made for $40 million. Ended up raking in $332.5 million at the box office in 1989. So that's pretty damn good. That's a huge profit, and this was a blockbuster success on a $40 million budget. I mean, it almost made almost $300 million over what it cost to make this. So that's pretty impressive, for a sequel. You don't really see that a lot these days, or even in sequels in the past. A lot of sequels never really made as much as the original, or made more than the original. So I think that's pretty impressive.
Cyber, don't forget all the memorabilia and the merchandise and all that merchandising money they made off of it too.
Yeah, I mean, that's later on, though. That's like 10 years down the road that they started doing that stuff. But there was toys at the time. I believe McDonald's came out with toys for the film. And there was T-shirts and glasses and stuff like that they ended up coming out with because of the first film. So, yeah, so there was definitely that stuff. But that really didn't come into play until later on down the road, when these movies were at least a decade old. So
I got it. I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, just remember, this came after Batman, so the way of marketing was very different back then.
Mm-hmm. Very true, people. Very true. All right, so guys, before we get into the meat of the film, when was your guys' first time watching this? Now, and here it's a two-part question. Did you watch this before the first one, or did you watch the first one and then watch this one too as well at the same time? So myself, I actually saw this one before I saw the original, before I saw part one. So what are your guys' thoughts on that? What was your first experience? When was your first time? And did you watch this one first, or did you watch the original first, or part one, I should say? Starting with you, Andres.
Oh, me. I can't really remember that. I think it has to be in order, if I remember correctly. So first one I saw first, and then I proceeded with the sequels. But yeah, that's how I remember it. So yeah, a long time. But yeah, but it's my favorite out of the bunch. If I have to confess, this is my favorite of the trilogy of Back in the Future.
And when was your first time you saw the second one?
Ooh, it had to be like either a marathon of Back to the Future, as AMC always does. Like they always marathon like the trilogies or franchise of back in the day. And so I saw this while they were probably doing a Back to the Future marathon. I love it just like the first film. I actually preferred this over the first film. I had to say when I was growing up because of, as you say, Cyber. It was like it was so much more ambition than the first one. Like you're going to the future, and then you got to an alternate future time, which was great, and then you go back to like it was just jumping back and forth. It was so amazing. So that was the best part about that, and plus seeing more Doc Brown, the older Doc Brown, which was really great. Because we only spent the 1955 version of him. So this sequel, it was fun to see like the older version. So that was the best part about the sequel. So I'm very excited to talk about this with you guys.
Excellent. Thank you. Mr. TrueKnowledge, same question, sir. When was your first time you saw it? And did you watch this in order?
What up, Raymond? I don't know if I watched it in order or not. I can't remember. I have very little memory of, after watching the first one for the first review and now watching it again today for the second review, I have very little recollection at all, other than certain scenes, like specific scenes, like the hoverboard scene and stuff like that and whatnot. I have very little recollection of really ever really understanding the film when I watched it as a little kid, right? Back to the Future 2. I would have saw it probably the first time in the late 80s, early 90s, right in the early 90s probably, when it came out on HBO or whatever and whatnot. I didn't see it in the theaters. That I know. And it was never like a popular movie that was recorded on VHS by my parents that I ever like went to as a go-to movie at all, really. I never cared for the third one at all. In fact, I don't know if I ever even like watched it. Like, I'm sure I watched it as a kid, but I have no remembrance of it at all. Like, it'll be like a new film when I watch it. But I'd say that I stayed away from the Back to the Future films ever since I was a kid. So these watches I've had just recently, the first review we did, and now this one, are my first real adult viewings of the films. So I'd say, as a kid, I probably saw this 2 or 3 times, maybe 5 times. But as an adult, we're going back over 30 years now. This is my first time watching it today.
Wow.
All right. Crazy. There you go, folks. It's been forever since Mr. TrueKnowledge saw this. Excellent.
But I was sexually active back then, 30 years ago, when I was 11 years old. I already was sexually active. Remember, I already had fathered some children, everything, whatnot, some illegitimate children.
In 1993?
Yeah, I already had, before my incident, I had super sperm, super strong sperm,
Oh my God.
There you go, folks. He's superhuman. All right. Excellent, sir. Thank you. Excellent. So, all right. So this movie starts off just like how the first film ends. Marty has just gotten his new truck given to him by his parents. Now they're all happy and they're doing way better than they were when we first saw them in the first film. Jennifer shows up, now played by Elizabeth Shue, like I said. And, he goes, I feel like I haven't seen you forever. He's like, and she's like, Marty, I just saw you yesterday. He's like, but it feels like a week ago. And all of a sudden, Doc pops up with the DeLorean time machine. And, Jennifer sees it. And, Marty's like, what's going on, Doc? He's like, get in. You got to come with me. And he's like, what do you mean? I just got here. I got the new truck. I got to take Jennifer for a drive. He's like, bring her too, Marty. It's about you and your kids. He's like, kids in the future. Where are we going? To the future. And basically, he ends up, he's like pulling stuff out of the trash, putting it into the back of the DeLorean now, which has this thing called Mr. Fusion. And you're kind of like, what the hell is going on here? And so he puts the stuff in there and they get into the time machine. He's like, Doc, you're going to have to back up more. You're not going to be able to get up to 88. It's like, where we're going, we don't need roads. And then that's when all of a sudden the car lifts off the ground and is hovering and flying. and they jet off, and it says Back to the Future Part 2. And so as it shows the credits, it shows like you're in the air flying through the clouds. And all of a sudden, after the credits have finished, all of a sudden they're flying, and they're now in the future. They're 30 years in the future in 2015. And Doc basically says, yeah, we are now in 2015. He's like 2015. Marty's like, he's like, yeah, exactly blah 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 day in 2015. And he's like, basically, he's like, what are we doing here, Doc? He's like, it's about, we gotta help save your kids, Marty. He's like, oh, and he's like, and like, was Jennifer a part of it? He's like, no. He's like, why'd you bring her? He's like, she saw the thing and she was gonna need information, so I couldn't just leave her there without any information. And so basically, as they're doing that, they basically take off ramp in the sky down into Hill Valley. And in Hill, they get down to Hill Valley, and we see them, and they're hovering, and they're lowering down to the ground till they've landed on the ground. And Doc opens his hatch. He's like, you got to get out and get changed. He's like, Doc, it's raining. He's like, he's like, wait 10 seconds. And all of a sudden, like, the rain completely stops, and it's completely done. And he's like, right on the tick. What? He's like, now if only the weather service was as good as the blah blah blah. He says, and so he gets out, and Marty kind of walks forward a little bit, and he's like looking. He's like, in the future. It's like, and basically, he says, Marty, come back here, basically, and he basically tells him that he needs to help his son out, his basically identical son, basically, that looks exactly like him, from going through with this thing that would cause him to go to jail, because of Griff, it happens to be a descendant of Biff from the past, that has, animatronic implants or whatever in him. And he basically, he's like, so I went ahead and saw all the events of what happened, he's telling Marty. And he's like, I backtracked it to this one particular day, and if we stop this will stop that whole chain reaction that causes your whole entire family to go, crazy. And so, basically, he's like, okay. He's like, so put on these boots, put on this, jacket, pull your, all the kids wear their pants inside out in the future, and you got to pretend to be your son, basically. And so he's like, okay. So he puts on all this stuff, and he's like, it doesn't fit, and he's like, he pushes the button on the bottom of the jacket, and it forfeits. And you're like, I want a jacket like that.
I want to start wearing my pants turned inside out, backwards, Andres. I think we should start all doing it.
You would too.
Why not? It'd be interesting as fuck.
A lot of kids did that in the 90s. I remember seeing them at school. Anyways, so Marty, basically gets into that outfit. Doc gives him the money to go get a Pepsi at the place. He's like, cafe, 80s, 3 o'clock, say no to Griff, and basically they end up taking Jennifer out of the car and leaving her behind because Doc has to go somewhere else. So he makes his way into Hill Valley, and it's the future. It's 2015. He's walking around the area, the center of Hill Valley, and we see the old clock tower. It's now all digital, and we have an old guy that we have seen previously in the previous film. He's all old, and he's like, help save the clock tower. Still, 30 years later, they're still asking to help save this clock tower. That's all digital now, so what the hell is that going to do? But anyways, and he's like, I wish I could go back in the past and put some money on the Cubbies, after the Cubs won the World Series at the time. And he's walking around and stuff like that, and all of a sudden we see a hologram, and it's supposed to be the 19th Jaws film. Now, this is 1989 now, and the last Jaws film came out in 87, Jaws for the Revenge. And so this is 2 years later. They're saying that 30 years down the road, there's going to be 19 Jaws films. And he starts to get scared because the hologram's coming at him to eat him. And he's like, the shark still looks fake. And so eventually he makes his way to the Cafe 80s, which is all 80s nostalgia. 30 years later, it still looks like a 80s like aerobics place, and they have futuristic Pepsi and all this kind of stuff. Ronald Reagan and Michael Jackson are the servers at the place as monitors, which was hilarious. And you get kind of that very nostalgic, very 80s futuristic look in this scene. So before we go more further into that scene, let's get your thoughts on the beginning of the film. What are you guys' thoughts on how they kind of recreated the end scene from Back to the Future Part 1 and reinserted Elizabeth Shue into it to take over for Claudia Wells? What are your thoughts on the beginning of the film and kind of the conversations that, Doc and Marty have, learning that he got his bleeding colon fixed and he added some years to his life, the flying DeLorean, the graphics? Just what were your thoughts on that beginning sequence leading up to Marty getting to the Cafe 80s? Let's start with you, Jeff.
Well, basically, I'm just still shocked by this whole Elizabeth Shue revelation. I can't believe that from the opening, that girl was Elizabeth Shue, the Jennifer chick. Like, I'm just blown away by it. Now, don't get me wrong. I have that new TV that I showed you. It's brand new, right? First time I ever watched it or whatever from a distance. And it is a little small, right? Maybe I should have got a little bit bigger. So, it's a HD TV, but I was at a distance and it's a little small. But still, I can't believe I could not make her out in 1989 as Elizabeth Shue. She did not look like Elizabeth Shue to me at all, the Jennifer character. So that really throws me off. I can't believe that was her. I had no idea. What did she do? Cocktail.
That was a year prior, 88.
Okay. All right. So the opening was great. I love the music in Back to the Future. Like the score is really good. The recurring music that they kind of have that, across the two films. I enjoyed the music right in the opening, especially. But I love the opening. I love the year 2015. I love that Pepsi. That Pepsi looked really good. Like the super, futuristic Pepsi. It actually looked really drinkable. Like I really wanted to drink a Pepsi off that. Right. It was cool seeing him talking to all the different TV screens. And it took me a minute to realize that he can actually talk back and forth with all of them. Right. They were all trying to figure out what he wanted and all that. So this is a total made me look pretty stupid, but I didn't realize until the beginning of this movie that Rick from Rick and Morty is based off of Doc Brown. I did not realize that. I've been watching Rick and Morty this whole time, since Rick and Morty came out. I didn't realize it.
He's definitely drawn just like what Doc Brown looks like.
His entire personality is Doc Brown. So, what up, Raymond? How are you, brother? Over at Booze and Chill. I promise I'll come check out your live tomorrow night, man. But no, I didn't realize it. I didn't realize it until today. So I feel like a dumbass. Rick and Morty is a good show too, by the way. But what is the deal with Griff? I don't understand. I get it. This is the future, right? But why does he have this vendetta against Marty to where he's swinging baseball bats at him and all this shit and whatnot and all that? And how does he how is he able to just get away with doing that shit? He's out in public swinging baseball bats and shit and whatnot and all this shit. He punches fucking Marty in the face. What is this deal?
Well, because this is basically 80s thinking and 30 year later thinking. So that what actually happened in 2015 would not make any sense in that film at that time. So him being able to do that was just common. But the reason why Griff is trying to swing a bat at him is because Marty said no to helping him do that ripping off that them put in jail. That's why.
Yeah, he wanted him to go do some dirty shit or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? No, I got that. No. I just thought that was kind of crazy. And you're saying that Griff was like cyber enhanced and shit too?
Correct.
Okay, I was wondering what was going on with his shit. His gang was interesting. I liked how that one chick picked him up by his balls, right up in the air, by his nuts and shit, whatnot, everything. That was really good. I like
no
that.
scrote.
Yeah, you got no scrote. There we go. She picked his ass up like by his nuts, like, what's up?
And people don't realize, but that's Billy Zane that's part of that crew. And also...
With the face tattoos?
No.
Oh, okay.
He's not the one with the face tattoos. But the other guy is Jason Scott Lee.
Oh, okay. No shit. I didn't realize that at all.
Yep.
I don't know what the fuck was going on with me today, man. I must have been like having a blind moment or something or whatever. I must have really fucked up with that TV. Seriously, I guess 50 inches was not big enough because I could not make that shit out at all. Usually I'm pretty good at that stuff. Are we up to the hoverboards?
No, not yet.
Okay. I'll cut myself off there and I'll be right back.
Okay. All right, Andreas. Same question, sir. Your thoughts up to the to Marty getting to the 80s cafe.
Yeah, so this sequence was fantastic. I mean, first off, the beginning you brought up the reshoot of like the ending of the first Back to the Future was very seamless, and of course it's not going to be the only time we're going to see that in the film, which we'll get to later, which I think is really impressive stuff in this movie, because a lot of people don't know this. This is not CGI. They used a very old traditional special effect, optical, to do the double, splitting of the people, and it's so impressive how they did it back in 1989. And of course, this movie was handled by Industrial Light and Magic, and it just shows how how good they are as special effects people. I mean, these people were doing the best effects during 1989. Indiana Jones 3, Ghostbusters 2, and this movie, it's very seamless, and I gotta say, fantastic. And I thought the new actress that plays the girlfriend, I mean, when I was growing up, I didn't really care. I was like, okay, it's the girlfriend of Marty. When we get into overall the film, like, she's kind of pointless. Like, it was funny when Doc told Marty that, oh, no, I just brought her here because I didn't want her to like question what was going on with the time machine. And then that always cracked me out when he's like, I didn't have plans for her. That was so funny. So that was really great. And the special effects with the flying, DeLorean was just spot on from the last movie, which was great. Yeah, and the future stuff was, it's typical future stuff. I did enjoy the Jaws 19. That was really awesome, but that was very funny. I love the like close bit of like it still looks fake. That always gives me the great chuckle. But yeah, and then seeing what was it, the mayor, one of his like, and like one of his relatives being, I don't know, a car dealer. That was very funny to see. I didn't see that at all until this review. I was like, oh yes, that's a very good connection. And yeah, when we get into the 80s, bar, I mean, first off, this scene did predict several things from the future, like that one, the bar, like that's something we do see in certain areas. It's not like it's not like a we don't have like a nostalgia bar, but like it's something like that we have here, like Dave and Buster's or some other chain we have here. I'm just thinking one that maybe has that kind of feel, like a diner, maybe like a diner has that 1950s aesthetic. Yeah, that was really funny. See, old Biff, still alive somehow, still doing himself. Hi, Raf, welcome to the stream. And then of course he's waiting for Griff, which was I mean, first off, Griff is so just even worse than Biff in the 1950s, and I can't believe he has like implants, as you say, Cyber. That was kind of crazy. And then the son, Marty's son in the future is so dumb. I can't believe he say yes to this guy. It was crazy. Oh, one fun bit was the cameo. We had a cameo of Elijah Wood, in this movie. That was another thing I did heard, and it was like kind of cool to see this time. I was like, oh yeah, that's where he is. When Marty did the gun shooter for that like old West video game arcade. And yeah, and this sequence is so fun. I mean, like first off, the hoverboards, a great like step up from like the first film of like the bike chase thing that Marty had with Biff during the 50s. Here, it was great to see like an inverse of that in the future, where he has to, trace around during the future of Hill Valley, but with hoverboards, which is awesome. And one day I like this sequence was so action packed. I like how the fast pace of this, where the first film.
I literally just asked Cyber if we were at the hoverboard point and whatnot and everything, and Cyber adamantly told me that we weren't there yet and whatnot and all that. So like, you already on your first contribution have already gone past the mark already. Do you want to go? Do you want to keep going and go all the way to the end of the movie?
No, I was gonna talk. Anyway, I'm done. Overall, first sequence was great, awesome. Fuck you, Jeff. Here we go. First,
sir, I'm gonna call you out on it every time because you do it every fucking time. So I have to call you out on it, sir. I'm sorry. I'll have Kiku give you a hug later.
No, I don't want Kiko. Kiko's a stupid AI. Forget about it. Everyone, have a nice night.
You and this disdain you have for Kiku, it's not healthy. All right, what is this bullshit the Rathacon is talking about? It's a fun way of playing golf with friends. It doesn't consist of a golf course. People just hit the golf ball as far as they can go.
It's virtual golf.
Oh, virtual golf?
Yeah.
Oh, virtual golf. I thought he was actually saying that, like, real life, you just go out and pick a drop your golf ball randomly and just hit it.
Well, yeah, there's hitting ranges that do that, but he's talking about virtual.
Yeah, I stepped in to be the moderator, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? What are you talking about, Rathacon? You're tripping over here, man. I'm glad you're enjoying playing. What did the bearded lady get you into, like, the virtual golf? Good for you, sir. No, sir. Cyber's moderating. I'm on the panel. If I was moderating, I would not have gotten up.
All right, folks. Thank you. Great job, guys. All right. So back to the film. So where we left off, like I said, Marty just gets to the Cap 80s. Like I said, we get to see these Ronald Reagan, Michael Jackson TV things, talking, being the hostess and stuff like that. Marty gets a Pepsi, which Jeff says looked really good, which I think was just regular Pepsi. It just looked like regular Pepsi.
Pepsi is actually really good. Pepsi's actually really good.
Pepsi's better than Coke.
It is.
And so he's in there. We get the Elijah Wood cameo, as Andreas mentioned. 8-year-old Elijah Wood there, which was really funny. And
I'm sure Michael Jackson probably connected.
Probably. And we get that little fun scene where it shows the old Western game, which was still like a handheld game, and the little kids are like, "That's a baby's game. Use your hands," which was kind of funny. Like, what? Like, so they're thinking like virtual or something at in this time frame that they're doing that type of thing. And then of course we get to see old Griff, or old Biff, I should say. He's like all old now. And that's one thing about this film that they keep mentioning a lot in documentaries like that, is at the time in 1989, this is one of the first films to really use very deep prosthetics to make people look older. And actually it was a more of a, like it was a very considered a very high quality that they hadn't seen really in any movies prior to this film. So I think that's kind of interesting, that the make effects, they actually, during the production, they kept it under secret so that people didn't know what they were doing and using to make them look like they had aged 30 years too as well. So that was kind of cool. And so we get to see the old Biff, and he talks to Marty for a brief second. You're Marty Jr. You're Marty McFly's kid. And he's like, Biff? He's like, that's Griff. After Griff pops his head in, which is it's Thomas F. Wilson playing Biff and Griff. and he's like, hello, McFly, hello. He just called me Gramps for his health, and he's like, Gramps, what am I paying you for? He's like, I just put on the new coat last week. And he's talking about his card being not buff enough or something like that, which was kind of hilarious. That that was one thing, if you ever noticed, in the younger Beth in the 1950s, he was all about his car being super polished and not wrecked and stuff, and not being full of horse poop and stuff. Yes, sir.
Can I just put it out there now? Am I the only one that got confused by the Biff Griff bullshit and whatnot during the film at times and not know what the fuck was going on?
No.
I did not know who was Griff and who was Biff and whatnot several times.
How could you not know who Biff or Griff is?
I could not fucking tell.
Because Biff is supposed to be like 90 years old. Griff is supposed to be the younger version that's cybernetically enhanced. So I don't know how you got those two mixed up, sir.
Well, there's different realities, there's different Griffs, there's different, it gets.
This was only one reality, sir. This was 2015.
Whatever. What about when they went later on in the film when they went back in the past?
That was Biff if he had become super rich. That's the only difference.
See, that shit was confusing to me.
Well, that I find that very funny that you found that so hard to understand, sir.
Well, you know what, sir? Listen, if it makes you feel any better, I'll give myself a Danny Award for that. Okay?
You already have the Danny Awards. You're the #1 Danny Award winner. What difference would that be?
I'm the only person to ever actually want to accept the Danny Award on it, without asking, without having one dropped on them. I actually put them on myself.
Okay, if you say so.
Because if anybody ever actually just calls me out and says I deserve the Danny Award, I will pull it up and display it and whatnot, and everything, and own it. Just because I'm running the board and all that shit and whatnot. If Andre's Pop Culture Guy says I deserve a Danny, I will pull it up.
Say it, Andre. Say it. He deserves the Danny Award again. Yeah, I see. He shook his head. Oh, you got to show it again.
Andres, you deserve the Chloe Zhao Award of Excellence, sir, on the panel for your going over the fucking line on your first round of questions every single time on every show.
Fuck you.
Your Oscar's coming in the mail, sir.
Oh, fuck you.
Jeff gets the Oscar for not understanding Biff, Griff, and Biff. So it's all good. It's all good.
Dude, I'm the same fucking guy who moderated the show like that.
We know, sir. We know.
Come on, bro.
You gotta look just like an alien there. So just
Andres, you should have been on that show, bro. That shit was hilarious.
Anyways, back to what I'm talking about here. So Griff finally comes into the thing and asks, supposed Marty Jr. If he's in for the heist that night. And he says no. And Griff's like, no? It's like, yeah. What are you, deaf, dumb, and stupid? I said no. He's like, Griff starts to get, uppity and basically, and so basically what ends up happening is his actual kid does show up, and he's the one that actually starts the conversation off before Marty takes over. And then that's when they get into the hoverboard fight. Basically Marty ends up punching Griff and runs out just like he did in the first film, and they have a hoverboard incident. Now the hoverboards, it's kind of funny story about the hoverboards. The hoverboards were fake. They were on strings and stuff like that, and they've showed that in the documentaries and stuff like that. But I guess apparently at the time in '89, Zemeckis was basically going around saying, "Yo, yeah, we really made hoverboards. They're real. They can work, and you can buy one and stuff like that." And kind of try to promote them for the movie and stuff like that, and make people think that they're real. And so that kind of became a running joke, which was kind of funny. And so a lot of people thought they were real, that hoverboards were real at the time. So I think that's kind of funny. So anyways, so they start their hoverboard chase, and we get very similar thing, them driving after him, going after him, so like that. Griff goes and gets his really fancy hoverboard, which is powered, and he gets on. It's called a Bulldog, and then the his other three companions there grab onto, and they all start going after him. And Griff's got his electronic bat, and then he's like, "Batter up!" And they're chasing after Marty, and he's trying to get away, and he end up getting over the water. And as that happens, they're like hoverboards don't float on water. And so Marty's trying to get it to go, but he's having no success. And as they start to come after him, he's about to be hit by the bat from Griff, and then he falls down into the water, and Griff misses and swings, and then they go flying into the bank right in front of them, or whatever that building is, a bank or city hall or something like that. And as soon as that happens, Marty, pops back up out of the water, sees that it happens, and he gets out of the water and gives back about to give back the hoverboard to the little girl, kind of like similar in the first film. She's like, "You keep it. I'm going to take this Bulldog," and he ends up going over to the dock, and he's like, "Marty, what happened?" He's like, "Oh, my kid showed up and all this blah blah blah," and he's like, all of a sudden they look at the newspaper and it's changed, and it says local youth are jailed, automatically put into jail. And he's like, and Doc's like, we fixed it, Marty, because this happened. Now your son won't go through with what he was going to do tonight, and the whole future has been saved. We could go home. And so he ends up in this process, Marty has purchased a almanac from a store there in the future called the Sports Almanac, which allows them to basically so he could bring it back and basically bet on things and win lots of money, kind of like what Evil Biff does in the spell. And so after Marty has bought in everything, and Doc sees and he goes, he's like, "Sports statistics, and this is hardly recreational material, Marty. I didn't invent the time machine to profit anything. It's to see the future and to help mankind and better mankind and stuff like that." It's like, this stays here, It's like, okay. And so he's about to throw it away, but he ends up not throwing it out and puts it back in, because when they go to get Jennifer, she's been picked up by the cops and brought back to their future home in Hillsdale. And so they end up following the cops back to Marty's current home. And when we get there, we end up seeing older Marty, his kid, his daughter, who's played by Michael J. Fox as well. We see an older Elizabeth Shue. We see an older Leah Thompson. We see an older George McFly. And one of the reasons why they have George McFly upside down and on in that like chair thing is because of the prosthetics and everything that they had on that Jeffrey Wiseman to make him look like Crispin Glover. So that's why they didn't really focus on him too much, is because they wanted to give the illusion that it still is Crispin Glover, and to make you think that it's still George McFly. So that's why we don't see much of him, and that's why he's kind of like upside down throughout his one part in the movie. And so we end up getting that scene. They have pizza, they're eating pizza, and then Needles and Marty Sr. have that conversation on the TV, and he says, "Okay, I'll do it," because he called him a chicken, which once again, as they mentioned throughout the last two films, there's a word that chicken term ends up being one of Marty's downfalls for his futuristic self. And this is kind of like one of those, it's showing you kind of one of that path that he's going on, that if he does do that, what will, keep him from his music career and stuff like that. And so we have that scene, which was really funny. He ends up getting fired. He tells his mom it's a joke. And Jennifer is realizing she has woken up and realizes she's now in the future and is trying to get out of the house. and basically ends up coming in front to face with her older self and faints. Doc and Marty grab her and bring her back to the time machine. And so in the process of them doing this, old Biff from the future has stolen the time machine and gone back to some point in the past to give himself the sports almanac so that he can become powerful and not be a part of this reality where he is this, basically this card buffer that is, sucky and all this kind of stuff. And so once they get Jennifer back to the time machine, and what's my favorite scene in the entire movie? Good God. I can't point out one particular scene, Rathacon. I like all the scenes.
I'm sorry about that, Rathacon. I did not pull up your comments right after Cyber said whatever he said, so that was my bad.
And so they get back to the time machine, and they end up going back up in the sky and traveling back to 1985. So before we get to that port, let's talk about that section of the film, the hoverboard, the futuristic selves, the prosthetics, the wonderful CGI that they used at the time, because this was the first groundbreaking film to really use a lot of industrial light and magic at the time. They used digital compositing, and this is one of the first films to really use that and utilize that in the late 80s. And so I want to get your thoughts on all that kind of stuff in that sequence of the film. What did you think about the hoverboard chase? What did you think about the prosthetics, those scenes at the house, old Griff, stealing the time machine? What were you guys' thoughts on that section of the film? I'll start with you, pop culture guy.
Sure. After I got really mocked by Jeff himself, I was talking about the hover chase. So anyway, the hover chase was amazing. Don't worry, Jeff. I love you, buddy. Don't worry. Just all feelings. All have a die hard. Anyway, hoverboard scene, fantastic. I mean, the special effects there was really impressive. I don't know why people believe that was real. I mean, come on, people. You know that was fake wires and all that. You probably had seen the behind the scenes back in the day, or even the recent documentary, as Cyber said before. So, yeah. So, but I mean, at the time, I mean, it looked very seamless. I mean, you can tell it could be CGI or like digital composite, particularly the Pitbull hover thing. But yeah, it was really fantastic. The thing they hit was the clock tower, the original clock tower that was from the first movie, and this one, I guess it got refurbished in this film. Yeah, and then so Marty saved the day, and this is where we get into the real plot, where old Biff sees what's going on. He sees like Marty, and then he sees like Doc Brown with the time machine, and then you see him stalking them basically, and then we get into more time travel jargon, more time travel stuff about the consequences of time travel, how it can be dangerous. That's something that was kind of cool, with the sequels. So it was really nice to see, like, Doc Brown explain how it's very dangerous to, temper the time continuum, all that, the universe and all that. And it's so fun and great to hear that from Doc Brown, who has he's like so energetic about the, danger of time travel. So it's, very neat to see that. And then after, Jennifer is discovered by the police and, gonna take back to the house. And here, I don't know if you guys laugh at this, but it was very funny that Doc Brown brought two options gonna happen. One, she's gonna find her old self and, be completely shocked about it. Or two, this will create a paradox and that will explode the universe, which was so over dramatic by Doc Brown, and I thought that was really funny. And they go back and they try to, get there quickly because the traffic will be, pretty much jammed while they're going to get to Hill Valley, or the house that Marty is at. We've seen from the first film. And then of course, old Biff hears this and he he picks up the almanac, and that's where like it starts to like get the movie where it has to go. And yeah, and then we go to the house. I was very sad that Dollar was it Glover didn't return. I kind of, he's a very eccentric guy actor, and I get that the director and writer just couldn't handle him, but I kind of wish they find some way, because I just liked that character from the first film, and it was kind of sad he didn't return. But the guy that, as Saber brought up, yeah, the guy that got was pretty, accurate. I mean, he looked like the dad from the first film. The makeup, prosthetic. Speaking of that, yeah, this is, I think you're right, Chet. Yeah, I think this is the beginning of where people apply all, all prosthetics on the younger actors, which we kind of saw briefly in the first film. You think about it, like it was kind of seed a little bit from the first film, because remember the two actors that played the parents of Marty, are much younger, and they had to pretend to be older in 1985. And I think this sequel took it forward, now seeing now older people in the future. So very impressive makeup. I mean, it is kind of silly, but at the same time, it looks pretty good, at the time. And we're going to see that in the next future, like next year, 1999, Godfather Part 3. Al Pacino looks older first end of the scene when he dies or whatnot. Anyway, yeah, by the way, Pizza Hut. Oh my God. When they cooked that pizza, I was like, oh my God, really need pizza right now. And by the way, you two, Coke is the best thing. Pepsi, I like it. Pepsi's okay, but I don't know. Coca-Cola is my life. But anyway, so that was really cool. And you see the technology, you can watch multiple TV in the future. Like
Shit, you already do that now, Andreas. You could watch three movies at the same time and shit, whatnot. No wonder you fit right in with these time traveling people.
Raf, yes, I do like pizza, sir. Like everyone likes pizza. What kind of conversation you're having here, Raf? Oh my God. Anyway, oh my God. Anyway,
Rat is something else.
Yeah, you got nothing else. He's just here chatting with us. So something I missed, before Jerry came in, was the chicken thing. Now in the first film, this is something that is kind of perplexed, or like I kind of get it. It gets paid off in the next sequel. Is Marty getting cold by chicken? I feel like that's such a like writing cheat, like a writing convenience for the sequel. Is like all of a sudden now they're calling him chicken, and he has a problem with that, and it's like, oh really? Like when they went in to the the cafe, and when Griff say, "Where are you, chicken?" and then the music starts so dramatic, and like he's like, "No one calls me chicken." I'm like, dude, you're being played by these villains. It's like, come on. And then same thing when older Marty, is in talk with Niels. I guess another version of Biff's relative, and he pressures him to say, pressures him to do this like legal thing, and he says, where are you, chicken?" And then of course it gets him fired. I just find it so funny that this is the thing that's going to destroy his future. So but yeah, it's whatever, it's a time zone thing, but it gets paid off very well in the next sequel, which we'll get into. I did remember they did a good job in handling that, but at this moment it's kind of like okay, come on. It's very immature, but whatever. Yeah, and then that's it. I think the sequence was all good. The special effects, it's really impressive. Again, I say before, it's more it's more ambitious than the first film. The first film is more small and more personal kind of film. It has less effects, but here in this sequel is a lot more effects, and it's spot on. I say before. I mean, Industrial Light and Magic did a awesome job with this future segment that we're watching for this first beginning of the chapter.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Good job. Good job, sir. Excellent. Excellent. So apparently, people are thinking I have early onset dementia here for some odd reason, and I'm curious as to why that is, Jeff.
Oh, sir, it was just a joke. You've a couple times now in the last like couple of weeks or whatnot, you've like been doing your monologue and you've like lost your place mentally like once or twice. You know, like that's all.
Oh.
I've done it. I've done it.
Just curious. I was just curious as to what led to this.
I do it
funny
before
comment.
too. I do it before too, sir. When I do my monologues and everything and whatnot, I often do it myself.
Okay. Sure. Anyways, so great job there, Andreas, Mr. Pop Culture Guy, Mr. Time Lord, Time Cop. Fantastic job. All right, Mr. Jeff, your thoughts, sir, up to when they go back to 1985.
So Tim from Middle Aged Men Movie Review Podcast says, make sure Andres does not phase himself out of the live stream tonight like Marty McFly because he screwed up his time traveling and stepped on a butterfly or some other shit. There you go, from Tim. Whatever that means through text message. He's thinking of you, Andres. So let me make sure I can see what's going on here in the private chat. Like, the hoverboard shit, Andres already tossed it to death. It was well done. I enjoyed it. I liked seeing all of the ruffians like get flying through the glass and all that and whatnot, and then getting arrested and all that shit. That was cool, you know. I like the concept of like the 2015 that they created and presented. I thought that was interesting, you know. I guess it took them 2 years to build all the sets and everything and whatnot for this film. Like, you know, like I can see, you know, why. And you know, the whole realization of the ability to be able to bet, you know, on sporting events and all that shit and whatnot, and the introduction of the almanac and everything is very interesting. It makes for it's an entertaining movie overall. Back to the Future 2 is without question. The different Marty's deal during that part of the movie where Biff Senior realizes that there's two of them, right, or whatever, and sniffs what's going on with the time traveling was pretty interesting, and worked well with the story, and they handled it well, like the swapping in and out and all that. Overall, they did a really good job of having Michael J. Fox play more than one character and all that and whatnot. Like he did a good job with all that. It was an interesting premise that the future was now altered, and Doc had already warned them about not getting too involved with their other selves and all that shit and whatnot, and that you shouldn't know too much about your own future and all that stuff. And right, Jennifer or whatever is trapped in the house, like the actual Marty McFly of 2015's house and all that shit and whatnot. She can't leave because she can't figure out how to open the door and close the door, right? Doc Brown has to tell her how to get through the door. Why did Jennifer have to get picked up by the cops and brought to the house? How did she get knocked unconscious or whatever the fuck was going on?
Doc made her fall asleep in the car when they first got there, remember?
She was sleeping off that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I got you. All right. So, all right. So they found her like that, basically. I got you. Now that makes sense. All right. Basically, I guess, the only thing I really have to say is just that, was that actually, Leah Thompson that played the first mom, like Marty McFly mom at the first house? Was that her with prosthetics?
Yeah.
That was her. I thought so.
Yeah. It's just the dad. The dad is not Glover.
No, I know. I can tell. No, his prosthetics looked a little rough. But I couldn't tell if that was Leah Thompson or not. But no, I like that whole deal that they had her like that. It was really fucking funny when like older Marty got fired all really quick, like right after he like did that his dirty shit, he gets fired and shit and whatnot. Like that was hilarious. I was laughing my ass off at that part. That was really funny, dude. It was so quick. That was funny.
By Japan, by the Japanese company, all places.
So it was dope that Doc shows up to save Jennifer and whatnot and all that. I never really understood the function of Jennifer really in the movie that much. Like why she really like what her role was supposed to really be about. Like, you know, like I at one point I kind of lost track of where she even ended up at. You know, so we're stopping it where they go to 1985. I'm done right there. I'm out.
Okay.
I'm out.
All right. Excellent, sir. Good to know.
See, I'm the pop culture guy. You see how you contribute on the panel, and like that was only like less than 5 minutes, not 5 minutes.
Well, no, Jeff, you kind of went off on a tangent too, sir.
No.
You actually said, "Oh, they go to an alternate 1985." I never said they went to an alternate 85 yet. So you did go beyond what I asked you to go.
Well, yeah, but I looked at the clock, sir. I was under.
I don't care. You
lost 500 points. All I was talking about was time.
Andres is now 1,000 points ahead, sir.
I was under 5 minutes on that. Andres, pop culture guy. You could learn a thing or two from True Knowledge.
Yeah, don't listen to him, Andre. Yeah. You're fine. Anyways, folks, thank you, sir. Great contribution, sir.
Thank you.
You did very well. For your great contribution, sir, I give you 500 points.
Okay,
sir. You're doing very good. Anyways, so back to the movie, folks. All right. So where we left off, they just got back to 1985 after they fixed what they needed to in 2015. They get back. They're like, "Are we back?" And all of a sudden, a plane flies by. They're like, "Oh, okay, yeah, we're back." And they go to the respective places. They drop off Jennifer at her house, but Marty notices, I don't remember their bars being on her windows. And then Marty makes his way back to his house. Goes through his usual, you know, how the way he gets into his house, and notices a padlock on the fence. He's like, "Padlock? That's odd." So he climbs over the fence, gets into the window. As he gets into the window, all of a sudden there's this little black girl in the freaking his bed. He's like, "What the hell's going on?" He's like, and she starts screaming, and the father comes in with a bat, and like he's like, "I just must have gotten into the wrong house, sir. Sorry about that." And he ends up running out. After they're chasing me, he's like, and the black guy's like, "I won't be victimized, sir. I will not be thrown out of my house." And I thought that was kind of funny how they had that. And so he basically starts making his way, and he goes to this house to look at the newspaper. He looks at the newspaper and it says, you know, November, blah, 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 1985. He's like, "This has got to be wrong." And all of a sudden, from behind him, as he's looking at the newspaper, he gets a gun pointed to his head. He's like, "Now I know who's been stealing my paper." And he gets up and notices it's Mr. Strickland. He's like, "Mr. Strickland, don't you remember me, sir? I'm Marty from school. You gave me detention last week." He's like, "What are you talking about? The school burned down 10 years ago." He's like, "What?" And all of a sudden, as he's like saying that, all of a sudden this car comes by and starts shooting. He's like, "Slacker!" and starts shooting at them. And so Marty runs his way, and he ends up getting into the middle of Hill Valley. And he's walking across, and you know he's seeing how it looks and stuff like that. And all of a sudden, he sees this giant building, and it says Biff on it. And he all of a sudden he comes across. He goes, he sees the bum guy that he's used to. He's like, "Ah." And then he gets to where the Biff's building is, and then sees that there's this home video rolling of the success of Biff and how he, a trip on the racetrack on his 21st birthday led to him becoming a billionaire. And it shows the brief history, and he's like, "What?" And then all of a sudden, he gets to the very end. He's like, and he was able to marry his lifetime sweetheart, Lorraine's Bain McFly. And he's like, "What?" no. And all of a sudden, his three goons are behind him and goes, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. And he's like, the hard way. And he gets knocked out. And he ends up waking up. Same thing like he does in the first film after he gets hit by the car. And he's like, Mom. He's like, and his mom's there, and she's like, doing the head thing. He's like, you're good old, you're safe here on the good old 23rd floor or whatever they say. He's like, 30th floor. And he wakes up and and he looks at his mom, and all of a sudden it's Leah Thompson with these huge fake titties, which was freaking hilarious. I'm like, why in the world would those be the fake looking breasts you make for this particular actress in this movie? Because they looked so fake and didn't even look like, like what somebody would get as, fake breasts at that time. And, okay. All right. Anyways. And so he notices, he's like, Mom, is that you? He's like, yeah, Marty, it's me. And, she's like, I can call room service and stuff like that. And he's like, room service? He's like, oh my God, it's your father. It's like, my father. And all of a sudden, Biff comes charging in. He's like, you little snot-nosed rat, you're supposed to be in Sweden. And basically her and, Biff kind of have a confrontation. And she's about to leave. And then she says, go ahead. Who's going to pay all these blah, blah, blah things for your kids and for you, Lorraine? And she's like, you're right. I'll stay. And basically, Michael J. Fox, Marty is like, he's like, why are you defending him? Why are you being, he is my husband. It's like, your husband. He's like, what happened to my father? Where is George McFly? And he's like, oh, they must have hit you really hard in the head this time. Oak Park Cemetery. And so he ends up making his way to the cemetery and sees that his dad's dead. And all of a sudden, Doc pops up and says, I thought this is where you would go. And they end up going back to Doc's place. And, basically, Doc explains that when we came back to our present day, so somewhere on the timeline, something got messed up and causing this new alternate 1985 that is different to us, but reality to everyone else. And that, and basically he says, guess what I found in the time machine? It's like the bag with the sports almanac in it in the street. And then the top of old Biff's cane. He's like, when we were in the future, old Biff stole the time machine, went somewhere in the past and gave himself the almanac. It's like, no way. And so they're like, we got to figure out, when Biff did this, so that we can go back to the time and stop, Biff from becoming this billionaire that he becomes and making this alternate 1985. So basically, Marty ends up going back to Biff and asking him, when he got this sports almanac, and he's like, okay. And so they have a conversation, and he basically says November 12th, 1955. He's like November 12th. That's the day I just came back. I mean, that's the Hill Valley lightning storm that struck the clock tower. It's like, your history. And so, basically he tells him exactly what happened and kind of gives him a brief story. And then he's like, one last thing that the old guy told me, he's like, one day a frizzy-eyed scientist or a young kid might come asking about where that came from. And if they did, take care of him, And he pulls out a gun. He's like, I never thought it'd be you. And he starts shooting at him. They basically have kind of a chase scene. He ends up chasing him up onto the roof of the building. And he's basically got him at the very edge of the building. And Biff's got the gun pointed at him. He's like, Biff, he goes, Biff, they're going to match you to that gun for shooting me. And so he's like, kid, I own the police. They were never able to match the gun to who killed your father. He's like, you son of a bitch. And he cocks the gun. And we keep seeing Marty kind of look over. And then he's like, okay, I'm just going to jump. And he ends up falling over the side of the building. And he's like, he starts walking over. And then all of a sudden, Marty pops back up, sitting up straight, and on the top of the flying DeLorean, he's like, a DeLorean, and he opens the hatch and hits Booth and knocks him out, and he's like, you're not gonna believe this, Doc. We got to go back to 1955. I don't believe it. And so then they make their course, and it's like, what about Einstein and what about Jennifer? He's like, if we succeed, they will go back to where they're supposed to be, Marty. We must succeed. And they end up going back to 1955. So we're going to stop there. So what are you guys' thoughts on that section of the film? What were your thoughts on this whole new Biff reality? What did you think about that video they made where it shows kind of his like little origin story? Did you get a kick out of that? What did you think about Billy Zane, Jason Scott Lee, the other guy, and these fake prosthetics making them look like they're so much older in 1985? And kind of your thoughts on the whole Lorraine looking so different with the big fake boobies and stuff like that too. Just what were your guys' thoughts on this section leading up to when they go back to 1955? I'm gonna start with you, Jeff.
I mean, I really enjoyed, I like Leah Thompson a lot. I always have. So I really enjoyed her with like her boobs all pushed up out and all that, everything. Like that does look really hot. It did throw me off, the whole like Biff reality or whatever. Or it was like a war zone and shit and all that. Like that was pretty crazy, like that definitely threw me off. I even put in my outline that she was big, really big titted, but you see that, like, he has a sister and all that, like in that reality, right? And all that that was in 2015 where he had the sister, right?
No, he has a sister in 1985. You talk about Marty's sister?
Yeah, Marty's
sister. The first film, he has a sister in the original.
Don't you see her at some point in the film too? Back to the Future Part 2?
No.
No? Okay. All right. I thought I saw her. Basically, their past is jacked up, if I understand, essentially, because of Biff, like going back in time and hijacking the DeLorean and passing the almanac on to Griff or whatever, whatnot, and that fucks up like their reality in 1985. So they have to go and fix that shit at that point, if I understand correctly. Like Doc's like committed to an insane asylum. It's hilarious, like, or whatever, in that reality or whatever. He's been like locked up, right? I guess it was interesting. I don't really know what to say. Like, the whole sports betting, like that's how the guy, this Biff made his fortune or whatever, whatnot, was through that. Sounds a little like, I don't know how, like, I mean, wouldn't somebody start to suspect that after a while? If you just kept winning like that over and over again on sporting events and all that, like being able to know exactly what the fuck the spreads were and all that. I like the scene where I like the humor and like the action that they do have in the film and the different sections of the film. I like the action. I like when Marty goes to question Biff, like to figure out exactly when they need to go back in time to correct everything, right? Like, and like how he gets shot at and all that shit and whatnot, but knows how to roll with it and like not get killed. Like it was cool. It's like it reminds me of like an 80s, 90s movie, right? Doc mentions again, I found interesting whenever he would say stuff like, letting your other self, see you could be like disastrous, right? With the other Marty, right? I found that really interesting every time he would mention things like that. And then you see the Doc meeting Doc part is in this part, right?
The what part?
Where Doc meets Doc?
No.
Okay.
That's in 1955.
Then I'll stop.
All right. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome, sir.
I absolutely love how confused this movie made you. I'm just like an utter. I mean, how much crack did you smoke before you started watching this? Because
it was confusing, bro.
I don't get how it was so confused.
I found it very confusing.
I just think it's funny. Well, thank you for your contribution, sir. You did a good job. Another 500 points.
I'm here, baby. You should just, what about, there should be some kind of like participation trophy for this. You know what I'm saying? Just for showing up.
You get the participation titty poster or something like that, sir. So,
Okay, thank you, sir.
Trophy. There you go. You know, the fake booby trophy.
No, what can I say? I mean, I'll have thoughts on the movie at the end overall. Like I found the movie entertaining. I really did, and I can see why. I can certainly see the allure for that time period back then, like why this movie was so popular. Like I can get it, right? Like I get it from watching it. I do. It makes sense. And Michael J. Fox was so charismatic, right? And like so good in this film. There's lots of really cool like aspects of it. It's just when it comes to breaking it down and going back scene to scene, there wasn't really that stood out to me that much for me to really talk about.
Okay. I mean, I thought you had something about the titties though. I thought you were.
They look nice. I like Leah Thompson, and I like seeing her titties all pushed up and like that and all that and everything and whatnot. That was good.
That was a whole fake chest plate. You do realize that, right?
Oh, was it? I thought that she just had them pushed up with a bra or something like that.
Nope.
That they actually get
that was a fake prosthetic.
They gave her prosthetic fake titties.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, she looked nice with big titties, dude. They usually are. Yeah, they usually are positive. But I've always liked her. I've always thought that she was really hot.
Jeffrey. So funny. Good job, sir.
Elizabeth Shue, too, man. Fucking A.
All right. Yes, very attractive woman. Yes. Leah Thompson, I felt, was a little more attractive than Elizabeth Shue. But definitely at this time, Leah Thompson was I think, the hottest. But anyways, Sir Andres, your thoughts, sir, on that section of the film?
Well, this section was like, you don't know at first it seemed normal. Okay, back to normal, back in 1985, and then when Marty knows the bars on Jennifer's house, it was kind of like, okay. And then right at the bat, where something's very fishy when Marty's house are invaded by black people, and he gets his, he almost got killed by one of the fathers with a bat, which was funny. And then you see this decay, neighborhood, and then when he goes step into his house, see the newspaper saying, it's like the same date, 1980.
Andre, was it the same newspaper as this one?
Don't. You fucking prick. I will fucking kill you. I mean, I was talking. I was like, this is a critical analysis, and now you're ruining it? Oh my god, you're a silly little man.
Did you see that guy nod to somebody walk go by?
No.
He like nodded.
Was he pissing or was he humping it? I don't get what he was doing.
He was fucking the poster.
I mean, he was taking it out. Look at right there. Oh my god, Raph, buddy, I tell you, this.
Did you see him? Did you see him bob his head to somebody like going by?
Raph. This movie is very horny. Has made Jeff very horny, and he's showing this very specific clip. So it answers your question, sir. Anyway,
shit! It was a Eurograph.
Anyway, yeah, this was in the Europe, guys. And well, yeah, of course, Raph, whatever your name is, Raph, is in Europe. Anyway, and then we meet Strickland, the principal, and he has a shotgun. He's in like Mad Max 2, Road Warrior for some reason, with his shell guns around his chest, the vest, with the bullets, and that scene's so great. I mean, by the way, Michael J. Fox, really great actor. I mean, he knows how to sell the comedy and the dramatic aspect, in film, and then this thing is just like it's so intense, just almost gonna be shot by his former principal, and then honestly he goes into the main town center. That's anyway, so
Fuji,
it's been
who has the bigger penis, me or Marty McFly?
Marty McFly has a larger penis.
There you go. Thank you, Kiko.
Oh my god.
There you
Yeah,
go, Andre. Sorry about that.
no worries. I mean, I told Raph that this was a horny movie, so no worries. It's part of the program, right? Anyway, um, when we go to the main town, center, it's all apocalypse, very Gotham City. For some reason, like it's like hell shit hole, whatever you want to call it. And then when he sees the origin story of how Biff gets his money, in this alternate timeline, it's so funny. I don't know if you guys missed the one clip. This was funny. I actually laughed very hard with this one. I think Biff dated Merlin Monroe. That was funny.
Yeah,
Like,
that was funny as shit.
I was like, I never caught that. Oh, I seen this movie multiple times, just like the first one, the third part, and I was like, oh my god, that's Vernon Malone. That was so funny. And then, and the newspaper clips are so funny when he's like, oh, like this is like, oh man, I'm the luckiest man on earth, and it's so funny. And then I can't believe his three friends are still working with him, and I mean, their prosthetics look seamless. I mean, the one guy's wearing sunglasses, so you cannot probably see his eyes. So yeah, it was very funny. And then yeah, I agree. Like, why? Like, I mean, it's Biff. He kind of sex up his wife, and then after that, he gets the answer. Where's George? The dad. And he goes to the cemetery, and that scene is so powerful. I mean, Michael J. Fox did such a good job of just conveying, oh my god, his dad is dead, and so dramatically. And then we get into the great thing where Doc explains this alternate timeline, and that's the thing I like about this sequel. It's just we go back to the future, and then we go into this alternate timeline. Explain if something happens that you just drop the time, this creates an alternate timeline, and it was really cool to like see that in full. And that these movies does such a good job of visualizing what time travel is. Like the first movie, you get the picture explain, what Marty did to affect his parents, and like his family was disappearing from that picture from the first film. And then here, you're seeing Doc using the the chalkboard explain the altered timeline in such a very clean and simple way for us, our dummies to understand what's altered timeline. And that was really nice. And yeah, that when they when Marty goes into the Biff, 1985 Biff, he's watching I guess the good, the bad, and the ugly. I don't know what dollar one. I don't know what's those. I don't know what dollar movie is that. I don't know. That's if it's for the dollars or something like that. Yeah. Then he gets his attention about the Olmec, and then you get this really cool scene. The Olmec. Oh, one thing it's funny. Biff looks like Trump. That's another thing. It's funny about this.
Yeah, he does look like Trump.
Yeah, it was very funny. He looks so much like Trump. During that
I
time.
think they wanted to look like Trump.
Yeah, I mean, Trump was big this time, right? I mean,
yeah, he was back then. Yeah,
so
Trump was.
back
Yeah,
then.
Trump was big. He was really popular.
Yeah, so like good on them. I think that for me, it's just the peak of the Back in the Future, just making fun of something that was happening that time, and that's Donald Trump was great. And yeah, and then the fact that we're going back to 1985, and it's like, oh wow, okay. And then yeah, and then they go back into that. So this section is awesome. I mean, it's great, like a little like side mission. It's like, oh, what's going to happen? It's crazy, and it's like, again, it just adds the stakes to the time travel for them. So yeah, I'm very excited for the third act. I'm kind of curious what's your guys' opinions on going back to 1955, because I kind of wish they went with another time period, but we'll get into that.
Good job, sir. Good job. Plus 2 points, sir. Great job. I don't know why I gave you only 2 points, but I felt that was good. I don't know. So. But anyways, good job, Andres. Good job. Both of you, great, fantastic, fantastic.
Cyber, I write myself a reminder note right now on the Acolyte T-shirt, sir. I will look into them as soon as we get off the show tonight.
All right, sir. I was just throwing it out there because we hadn't talked about that in a while, so I was just curious. Anyways, excellent job, both of you. Both of you get 1 million points apiece. You guys are fantastic. All right. So basically, this is when we get into the third and final act of the film. And
Cyber, you never set me up for my video, brother. I thought it'd be a nice break for us since I don't have a trailer. I thought you might enjoy it, folks. If anybody needs to go, go to the bathroom or get a drink or anything, this is actually me guesting with Jermaine over at Trucker's Delight.
Tappability. Peace and long life.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, Ruan Tarka drives me nuts because Ruan Tarka is literally that asshole man in the center of the room that's been like, I know everything. I'm the best. Like,
yeah, but they make him relatable.
You see this guy at tech conferences.
Marie, all I gotta say, Marie, honey, all I have to say is the best sex is with the most toxic people, and that man.
Thank you, Will.
They make him
the guy's
relatable.
kind of a dick, yeah.
They do make him relatable at times.
I mean, and he knows it, and he doesn't care.
Exactly.
Right.
That's what makes him good.
I am literally not going to sleep with somebody who has no investment in whether or not I orgasm. So no, pass.
No one said you had to marry him.
I think really,
I'm not even talking
best sex.
I'm literally talking
almost.
If I am going to go through the effort of having a one night stand with this dude, by God, I need to be guaranteed like at least one orgasm.
See, here's the thing. I think Tarka's the kind of guy who just
you might have 10 that you know.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Every damn woman deserves at least one orgasm anytime you do anything with her. Come on now. Like, I'm telling you right now, if you're a damn man and you can't give a goddamn woman at least one freaking orgasm when you play with her, then bro, you need to just wrap it up, kid. Just quit.
Note he says at least one. Note he says at least one.
Because I mean,
so
dude, I'm pulling 47, 65 out of them left and right. So I mean, at that point, you brothers at least got to pull off one, bro. Come on, dog.
You know what? Even I'm not taking that road. Like, I want everybody to know. I want everybody to know. I am not chasing down that rabbit hole.
And this is the rabbit hole. This is the rabbit hole. Okay, you are right under me. Okay, like I'm about to pull you on down here and have a talk. With
like
you
I said,
tomorrow.
Jermaine, this episode.
There you go, folks. Little breather for you guys. Talking about Back to the Future.
What do you think, sir? It was pretty interesting. I had things pretty stirred up.
It was already stirred up before you put in your mix, sir.
Nah, I was.
You just helped it. You just helped it go escalate.
You don't know, like there's some moments from that show, man. Me and Lord Deathman, he had my back. I was dropping some bombs. Me and that one guy ended up having problems.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most definitely. I'll show you. I have the shit right here.
There you go, folks. A little insight into some craziness over at Trekker's Delight. All right.
What happens when Jeff has True Knowledge guests on your show?
Yeah, that's what you get, people. That's what you get. Anyways, all right. So getting into the third act of the Back to the Future Part 2. So where we left off, they just go back to 1955, Doc Brown and Marty. And they land, of course, the DeLorean behind that sign that we were accustomed to in the first film. And they get out, and Marty's like, "It was like I was just here yesterday, Doc." And he's like, "Marty, you were just here." And so basically, they get out there and they start walking back and forth, talking, and basically, Marty, you got to do this, and I got to do this, and blah blah blah. He's like, you got to get yourself a change of clothes and get a walkie-talkie and stuff like this. He's like, and he goes and he grabs some money, gives it to Marty. He's like, get yourself some 50 clothes, something inconspicuous. And so all of a sudden, the next scene, we see Michael J. Fox, and he's like wearing like this detective looking, like greaser look and stuff like that. And you're just kind of like, yeah, that's very inconspicuous. That large black jacket and that detective hat with the glasses. Yeah, and the walkie-talkie. Yeah, that doesn't look like you're under anything doing suspicious or anything. And so he's like, Doc, come in, Doc. He's like, here, Marty, here. And he's like, I'm at this place. There's an old lady that lives there. I don't know if Biff lives here. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Biff comes walking out and go, I've got to go get my car, Grandma. He's like, oh, okay. He's like, no, I confirm it is Biff's house. I'll follow him. And so basically, we end up having Marty follow him as he goes and gets his car from the drag race the previous day, which of course we all know is when he was chasing Marty and ends up running into the manure truck. And as we come across, he comes across Lorraine, and he has like a tiff with Lorraine saying, one day you'll be my wife. And as he goes to get his car, then all of a sudden that's when old Biff pops up. He's like, the manure, I remember that, the manure. And so basically we see him and Biff like dealing with the auto mechanic guy and telling him how much it's gonna cost him. He's like, $300. He's like, I better get a lot more for that than $300, Bob. And basically he ends up going looking at it and seeing that it's all good and all that kind of good stuff, and get some oil and stuff like that. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Marty's in the back, and he gets the oil thrown on him. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the old Griff pops up in the car, and he's able to start the car. He's like, how'd you do that, old man? I'm the only one that's able to do that. He's like, get in, Biff. He's like, I got something to show you. And he's like, what do you mean, old man? He's like, get in, Biff. And so they end up taking a ride, and they're driving back to his house, and he's like, the old Biff doesn't really know how to drive well anymore. And he's like, and every inch they go, it's like, Biff is like, oh, watch it, old man. Oh, he's like, by the way, how do you know where I live? He's like kind of doing that thing as to get back to his house. He's like, just say I'm a long lost relative, Biff. And he's like, I'm here to help change your life. He's like, and they basically kind of have like a little back and forth conversation. And he basically says how much he sounds like an idiot and stuff like that. And he's like, I have this for you. He's like, it's the sports almanac. If you bet on the winner, you'll never lose. He's like, and you'll be able to make lots of money and become, huge and wealthy and stuff like that. He's like, I can prove it too. And so he turns on the radio, of course. He's like, I bet you UCLA wins it, blah, 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 to blah, blah, blah. It's like, and then the announcer's like, so I think UCLA is lost, blah, blah. And Biff's like, you just lost, old man. It's like, haha. And he turns up the volume, and all of a sudden UCL wins, blah, 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 to blah, blah. He's like I said, if you bet on the winner, you'll always win. And basically gives him kind of like some advice on like, you got to keep this hidden, keep it safe, all this kind of stuff. Do you have a safe? Oh, of course you don't have a safe. Get a safe, all this kind of stuff. And basically he ends up leaving, and Marty's still in the back of the car inside the garage. So he basically hops out of the car after Biff have left, and all of a sudden he notices that it's locked, that he can't get out. And he, radios over to Doc, like, I'm stuck in this garage, Doc. I need you to help me out. He's like, okay, I'll get there when I can, Marty. And so then that's all of a sudden, we cut scene. We go to when Biff is going to go to the dance, the Enchantment on the Sea dance that night, which once again, we're back to 1955, the same day that Marty left, just the previous day. And so Biff comes out, gets in the car to go to the dance. And Marty sneaks back into the back of the car. And, they start traveling towards the dance. And as he's driving, Biff listens to the radio, looks at the magazine and stuff like that, listens to some sports things and sees that, this old guy that gave him this thing is correct. Every single one is a winner that, if you chose. So as they're making the way, they get to the dance finally. Doc is making his way to get Marty out of the garage. he's like wearing inconspicuous stuff too, riding this bike, and ends up at the Bip's house and looking for Marty. He's like, damn, where is that kid? And so he's off at the Enchantment on the Sea dance again. And of course, Biff makes his way, and we see him. He's looking at this French ladies magazine, and we think he's actually looking at the almanac, but he's looking at a porn magazine. And we basically, this whole sequence, it shows us different pieces of what's going on at this dance compared to the previous film. And Strickland ends up, catching him with the magazine and takes it from him. And Marty is following along the way. And he ends up following Strickland after he confiscates it from Tannen. And he ends up following him into his office, and he gets under his desk. And Strickland is sitting down at the desk having some booze. And he ends up getting his hand caught at one point while he's trying to get the magazine. And Strickland ends up, drinking, and he ends up tossing it and going away. And so then Marty, when he goes away, gets out, grabs it out of the trash, and like, yes. And then all of a sudden, when he opens it, it's actually the porn magazine, not the actual almanac. Tannen still has the almanac on him. So then he's like, where do I find him? And then all of a sudden he remembers, oh, this is where, he's where George comes in, his dad, to knock Biff out. So he makes his way back to the parking lot, and so with that, sees Biff having been punched out by his dad. How many times going to tell you, Jeff, you need to mute yourself when you open your phone? Thank you, sir. So loud. Thank you, sir. Anyways, so he runs back there and sees that Biff's been laid out. He goes over to Biff that's laid out and starts touching him, looking for the almanac on him. And he's like, I know CPR. And I guess in 1955, I don't know if they knew what CPR was. I'm not 100% sure. I never looked it up, but I think they knew what it was. But at the same time, the people look confused. I think they were playing off like they didn't know what CPR was. So I'm going to say that it was later on that they learned about CPR. And he's like, I know CPR. And he's like patting him down and finds the magazine. He actually gets it. And Biff comes to again a little bit. He's like, hey, you, and he punches him again, and ends up running away. And the one guy that was kind of witness, he's like, I think he stole his wallet. And he makes his way up to there, to his way. Of course, we go into the under the sea dance again, and he's in there trying to hide under tables and stuff like that. And of course, Biff's goons are following him. And they end up getting in there, and he hides under a table, and he notices that he's up on the stage singing Johnny Be Good. And he's like, how did he get up there so fast? And basically they decide they're going to go up there and stop him up there by throwing some bean bags on him, the big bag things that help pull up the curtain. And so all of a sudden, Doc and Marty are talking on the radio, and he's like, they're going to jump me. He's like, then get out of there. He's like, no, he's like, I'm talking about the one that was up on stage doing Johnny Be Good that has to go back to 1985. It's like, then he's like, do something. So then he ends up getting up and going over there and stopping the plot from getting him on the stage that's singing Johnny Be Good. And he knocks them out with the beanbag things, and before they could do that to him. And so then he starts to make his way up to the roof, and he encounters Biff again. And after the other Marty hits him in the face with a door, he falls down, and Biff notices that the almanac's in his jacket. It's like, you stole this from me? He's like, and he kicks him a couple times, and then Marty ends up running back up onto the roof to where Doc is and saying, Biff got me. He's like, he got the almanac. He's like, which way did he go? That way. And so they end up flying the DeLorean and over and try to follow Biff. They end up following him over. And he's basically driving home. He's kind of beat up a little bit after being punched in the face by George. and they're driving and they're hovering above him, trying to get down, and slowly Doc lowers him down with some net wiring, and he gets on the hoverboard, and he ends up getting out and trying to glide over to the car to be able to get the almanac. And so he's trying to do that, and then Biff becomes aware that he's there, and they start to fight. And so eventually, as they're fighting and stuff like that, they get to this tunnel, and basically Marty's able to jump over with the hoverboard and grab the almanac and starts trying to make his way through the tunnel. And Biff on the other end swerves around and starts, pumping up his big ass car, and about to go after him. And so as Marty starts to make his way, he starts to chase. And as they're doing that, they're charging, and he's about at the very end of the thing. You think that Biff's gonna hit him, and all of a sudden he grabs the thing that Doc drops down from the DeLorean flying, and he gets lifted up. And we see him, and he's floating over. They get over to a patch, and while they're doing that, Biff ends up running into another manure truck. He's like, I hate manure. And basically they go over to this one spot. Marty comes down. He takes the almanac, puts it in this bucket, burns it with some matches he got from Biff's place and the 1985 they went to. As they burn the almanac, all the things start to change. The matches change from Biff to auto place or auto detailing. The story turns back to George going from dying to getting awarded an award. Same thing for Doc. His thing goes from being in an insane asylum to him getting an award as well. And they're like, job done. Let's get back to 1985. They're kind of celebrating, and all of a sudden, Doc gets struck by lightning, and the DeLorean disappears. So after that happens, the wire that was attached to the DeLorean comes falling down. He's like, Doc. He's like, yeah. And it starts to rain all of a sudden, and he's standing there still, kind of like in awe, like, what the hell just happened? This guy pulls up in a car, and who is played by Joe Flattery, who just unfortunately passed away a couple weeks ago. Great comedian, absolutely loved him. I was so sad when he died. He was such a great comedian. He was in Happy Gilmore, played the annoying guy when Happy is doing the stuff. He's like, "You're not gonna make this putt, you jackass." He just unfortunately that, but he plays this Western Union guy, and he's like Marty McFly. He's like, yeah. He's like, I have something for you, and pulls out this envelope thing. He's like, we've had this in our possession for blah blah 70 plus years or whatever, or 80 plus years or whatever. And he's like 80 years. He's like, and so he signs for it, opens it, and reads it. It's a letter from the Doc. And he's like, I've been happily living in 1885.
70, exactly. It was 70 years.
Yeah, 70 years. 1885. Like, holy shit. He's like, he's alive. The Doc's alive. He's in 1885. And so basically he ends up running back to where the younger Doc is setting the recent Marty McFly back to 1985. And as he just disappears and comes back, and Doc's like, yeah. And so kind of walking around, all of a sudden he comes running around the bend of the corner, and he's like, Doc. He's like, oh. He's like, Doc. He's like, I just sent you back to pictures. Like, I'm back for the future, Doc. And he faints, and that's how the movie ends. All right, guys. So what did you feel? What did you like? What did you hate? What did you enjoy? What were your thoughts on the conclusion of this film, or the third act, I should say? Lots of good tidbits. Your thoughts and all that kind of good stuff on this last section of the film. Starting with you, TrueKnowledge.
I just saw Jassim over in the Facebook chat talking like all like me, like talking all hardcore shit and gangsta and shit. It's funny as hell. I love it. I love seeing Wrath of Khan's evolution. But as far as the third part of the movie, that's probably where it got the most confusing for me. I did find it enjoyable. I did understand what was going on with the story. I was able to follow it for the most part, right? I really enjoyed seeing the Doc meets Doc deal. Like, obviously, I see the trend setting that this film did. for back then, right? Like it really did set some trends, you know, especially from the time travel genre, and like the multiverse genre and all that and whatnot, you know, like I can see where it did kind of set trends with that. You know, it was really cool seeing the future and present get fixed, right? And then them using the newspapers changing right in front of them while they like look at them as like a way to convey that like things have been fixed, right? I like that whole deal as a like, you know, a construct that they used in the film or a concept or whatever. I like that. So essentially it ends up with you know, the whole deal with Dot getting struck by lightning, and the dude showing up from Western Union was like totally out of nowhere. Like I didn't know what the fuck was going on with that. That was really well done. The letter from 70 years ago and all that and whatnot. Talk about building suspense up and all that. And I didn't realize that they actually were like shooting both these films at the same time at the end of 2. Like they were already like making like Back to the Future 3 at the same time, while Michael J. Fox was also doing whatever that TV show he was on, right? So
you mean Family Ties?
Family Ties, yes. And this was right before he actually announced he had the Parkinson's. It was a year before.
He announced he had Parkinson in 91.
Yes. So, yeah, great ending. You know, I have no idea what the fuck happens in Back to the Future 3. So I'm very interested in seeing where this whole Wild Wild West deal is going to go. That's all I got to say. Okay, USA, baby. Let's do it. Can't wait.
Okay, USA. Okay, excellent job, sir. Excellent job.
I'm going to give Andres, the pop culture guy, I'm going to give him 10,000 extra points from me, just so that he can win the Shogun Award for the panel for tonight and the Danny Award together at the same time.
Even without the 10,000 points from you, he would have won anyway. So
okay.
It's all good.
All right.
Oh dear.
All right, Andres, your thoughts on the third portion of this film, sir?
Yeah. So the third act.
There's your Danny. There's your Danny, sir.
Oh, fuck you. Anyway, Danny Award. Oh my god. Anyway, don't you fucking put that picture ever again. Fuck you. Anyway.
You really don't like that Chloe Zhao picture, do you?
No, it traumatized me. Anyway, yeah, I hate Internals. I hate her. Just please don't.
Yeah, Eternals may be one of those films that I might never ever watch again.
Oh my god, had potential. Anyway, so the third act, I mean, let me say this. I mean, the third act is still fun. I have no problem with it. I kind of wish we went with a different time period. I don't know if you guys heard this, but before they decided to just stick with the 1955 segment, like they were thinking to do maybe the 60s, and that could have been nice to see like a different perspective in a different time period for Morty and Doc to find this, the young Biff and stop him with the Almanac. Because I just feel like going back to like the segment of the finale of your first movie, this kind of screams that like I get you're not trying to offend the fans, but like the fact that the two like the two acts are so completely different, so original. It's like I really dug that. When we got to the 1955, I get really like, come on, why I need to see again Johnny Be Good and all that. It's like it's kind of like I've really seen that before. It's like I in a different angle they're doing, which is very impressive. I am not gonna dog on that. Like it's very impressive to see like the two Martys. I mean the two Docs. That was really great. Very impressive that they nailed that fact, and it looks very seamless. But besides that, we haven't brought up this. The actor that played Biff, what his name? I'm hold on. Let me put his name. Because he is
Thomas
amazing.
F. Wilson.
Thomas Wilson. Yeah, he is the best part about the trilogy. He is awesome. The fact that you see him play old Biff, I guess Griff, in the future, and Trump Biff, and then you see him again as young Biff from 1955. It's so impressive how he plays these multiple these multiple versions of Biff, or a relative of Biff. He's so awesome. I mean, when we see him, in the 1955 out of his grandma's house, and he teased those kids. It's funny to say he didn't bring this up when he teased those kids, like, give us the bowl. It's like, you want this bowl? And he throws it, and then it's like, now go get it. And he just laughs so maniacally as a villain. I was like, and I love that gag of Marty's like, no, I actually found him. I'm in the right house. That was always cracked me up. Yeah, and and here in this third act, you get this this cat and mouse of trying to find the Olamac. That's what the mission is about, and it was really cool to see old Biff and seeing how he convinces younger self to take the Olamac and try to build his fortunes. So that was really cool to see, and even that effect, it's really neat to see these two versions of Biff together, right? And speaking of shot back to back, yeah, it's very impressive. They were showing this back to back, and there were, if you pay attention to this film, they were teasing you with the third part, was it Doc say that he kind of wished before he had time, before destroying the time machine, he wanted to see the Old West, and then you get a couple of those hints of that, and then obviously get into this third, the end act, after they get everything fixed, and he gets zapped by the thunder, and then he goes back from 75 years to 1885. So that was really great, and great ending. I just love when 1955 Doc sees his other Marty, and then he's like, great Scott, and it falls down, and it's like, oh my god, great end. And I kind of wish they didn't give us the teaser for part 3. I always felt like that was such a mistake. Come on, Empire Strikes Back didn't give you a teaser of Return of the Jedi, so I think you could have been patient, seeing the third part. So I don't understand why Universal pulled that teaser. I get they didn't want to upset the audience after a very a downbeat ending. The ending is kind of not dark, but it's not optimistic like the first film.
Well, think of it like this. Let's think about it this way, Andres. Both of these films were technically considered one whole film, even though they split them up into 2 parts. That's why they did that, because they were filming these both coincidentally. So they actually were filming part 3 while they were filming part 2 as well. So they already had footage already shot, and that's why they showed that, to show that people oh, we are going to conclude this. This is, want to give you that insight. And at the same time, going back to one of your other, you were saying why didn't they go to another time period? The reason they went back to 1955 is because that had a significant point in Biff's life that caused him to go back to that point. If they hadn't done that, maybe they just said, oh, Biff went back somewhere, then they could have done that. But because that particular day and he had the maneuver happen, that's why he went back to it. So that's why they chose to stick with 1955.
Yeah. So yeah, no. I understand that. This rewatch, I did heard that part when old Biff say, I think Doc brought up that, the reason he go there was because of the specific moment that affected him. That made a lot of sense this time around when we watched that, because I always thought, why, from my repeated viewing of this movie, I was like, why 1955? And it's like, and this rewatch, for the live stream review is like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. No, I that part I understood, and also understood, the teaser, as you say before, Cyber, it's a 2-parter. I mean, people had to be aware they were, shooting this back to back. I mean, so it's not all the big deal. It's just kind of I feel like you could just leave us that moment of because you just confirm it to be concluded. That's it. You don't need a teaser. That's my nitpick. But overall, great third act, very fun. It's not, I think it's the weakest of the trilogy in terms of endings because like part 1 and part 3 had really great endings. This for me kind of is a little weak, but it's not like bad. It's really still fun, great moments. I mean, I always love the funny bit when Marty finds the the automatic, but it's the was it the ooh la la? He repeats it twice, like ooh la la, ooh la la. He's like having a heart attack. It's like, damn it, I didn't find the automatic. But yeah, so really great. And I can't believe. Did you say that's the guy that say you stole my wallet is from Happy Gilmore, the one that's teasing? No, oh, who was that? Because
Western Union guy.
Okay, okay. Yeah, oh, that's very sad to hear. I love Happy Gilmore. That scene when he teases him and then gets punched with the game hose is funny. But yeah, overall, not a spectacular ending, but it's still fun to watch.
Excellent, thank you. All right, ratings, guys. Jeff, what would you give it? 1 out of 10.
I'm going to give it with a disclaimer that I'm going to skew my rating a little bit on the high side because of its cultural relevance for its time, and it being one of Michael J. Fox's last like really big films when he was like peak Michael J. Fox. So I'll give it a 8.75 out of 10.
Okay, Andres.
Oh boy, tough one. I love this movie as a kid. It's my personal favorites. I'll give it a 9 out of 10. It's my favorite. I love it. Is it the best? Is it the best? No, it doesn't outdo the first film. The first film is still a classic, but for me, I think it's a stronger film. Great facts, great story with the two characters. I appreciate we got more Doc Brown and Marty together as a duo. I mean, we did get that Back to the Future, but that was like 1955 version of Marty. Here it was like the OG Doc from 1985, and I really appreciate that. And we get more stuff with Doc Brown in the third part, which is really great, which we'll get to later the next couple weeks. So yeah, 9 out of 10. Love it.
All right, I give it a solid 10 because, like I said, it's my favorite of the trilogy. And I just think it was spectacular. I think it's absolutely fun. I like how it ends. Leaves you on a cliffhanger, even though they give you that little bit of a teaser, which I think they only show you a brief amount in that teaser that it doesn't really show much. So gives you a taste of what's happening. So I think that was clever, great marketing by Universal at the time. And yeah, so awesome, excellent, guys. Thanks to Ratha Khan in the comments tonight, and thank you for popping in, Mr. Jassim. You rocking it. And we'll do plugs and get the hell out of here.
Yeah, Andres, you made one big fucking pussy penis pie, baby.
Pie. You don't understand what pie means? Pie.
Yeah, I know what pie is, bruh. You know what Diddy Juice is?
I'm about that life. Ask P. Diddy. I just came from his house, even though I'm feeling funny after drinking P. Diddy juice. Wait, what the fuck? What's happening here?
You gotta watch out for that Diddy Juice, motherfucker. Light you up.
No, I take Coca-Cola, not Penny Dip juice. Whatever that I was thinking.
Diddy Juice, baby.
Oh my god. Anyway, hello everyone. This is Pop Culture Guy. This is my channel. I kind of grow a little bit. 948 subscribers. That's good. I just recently posted my Godzilla 10th anniversary.
You're gonna hit 1,000 this year, bro.
Yeah, hopefully in the next 2 weeks. Come on, please help me reach that mark very soon. This Sunday, me and Jeff are going to do a live stream review. X-Men Days of Future Past. Yes, I just got it up there for you guys to see, and yeah, so I'm very excited. Thank you, everyone.
That thumbnail is looking handsome.
Thank you. So thank you everyone for joining us for the Back to the Future Part 2 live review. It's been awesome. Great to see you guys again. And yes, come on, Friday, Fallout episode 7. It's gotta be a lot of drinking.
Fallout episode 7, that's right. Drinking. We need people on the damn show. I'm in the chat right now, trying to hustle motherfuckers up, trying to get them signed up for the show. folks out there, if you're free, you can come on the show and fucking get lit with fucking True Knowledge, baby. I would be fucked up. You know it. I get drunk every time we play drinking games. Right, Cyber?
Yep, sir. Sure does.
All right, Cyberneticshark, sir, the floor is yours.
All right, folks. If you have enjoyed me as a moderator on here or have seen me in another live podcast on either as moderator or on the panel, definitely check out my solo content. Find me under Cyberneticshark, under YouTube, TikTok, X, Threads, Instagram, Facebook, pretty much anywhere. You can check me out, Patreon, stuff like that. As you can see there, my most recent release there is the Trap trailer reaction for M. Night Shyamalan's newest film coming out in August. You can definitely check out my review of The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, which is a great film. Definitely check that out. Abigail was a great film too as well. I'll be having my Planet of the Apes reviews up here soon, along with Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I also will be posting about If, the movie, and Strangers Chapter 1 as well soon. Be lookout for the mini reviews of those soon. And just going to keep on trucking. See there, you can check out my little clip there from a review I recently did and that where I talked about School of Rock a little bit. A little clip there. You can definitely check that out if you want. Or check out my Scrubs cyber remix there. If you have not noticed that on YouTube, they have recently started doing a music video remix that you could do now for videos. So
is that what that No Doubt thing is, Cyber?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what that's all about, but that looks really cool. I love No Doubt. I'm Just a Girl.
It's an okay song, not bad. Yeah, I was just basically like dancing to it, not really making any sense to it, just kind of lipping and doing funny things in it. So yeah, that's pretty much what I would do with those. So if you haven't seen the cyber remixes, definitely check them out. And yeah, look forward to giving you guys more reviews. So keep on that. Keep on subscribing. If you haven't subscribed, definitely hit that subscribe button. Help Mr. Andreas make that 1,000 mark. And all that kind of good stuff.
I love it, Cyber. I've got to do one, baby. I'm in. Yeah. I'm doing one too. Wait till you see mine.
Yep. Bandmade.
Something. I'll do something. All right, check it out, folks. The MCU'S Bleeding Edge YouTube channel podcast is 1.6K subscribers away from 50K subscribers. We are very thankful for this. It is very humbling. I'm very appreciative to everybody out there and whatnot, and everything that's helped us get this far. And I don't know about y'all, but I think that basically it's within reasonable reach that almost halfway through the year we might be able to try to hit like 60 or 65K thousand subs by the end of the year. Maybe hit 100,000K by next year. Get that fucking plaque. That would be nice. We appreciate that. But Cyberneticshark, sir, thank you so much for your moderating tonight. Audience pop culture guy, sir, hats off to you for winning the Shogun Award on the panel and getting the highest points. Even in defeat, I am honorable and humbled, and all that. When I'll bounce back on Fallout, right? On episode Fallout for 7, I'll bounce back and I'll kill it on the panel. I'm just putting a prediction out now. I'm gonna crush it on the panel on episode 7. I'm gonna be destroying it. I am on the panel on Fallout. That's episode 7, aren't I?
Duh.
Okay. Thank you, Cyber. So I will be killing it, drunk or not.
Drunk, definitely.
I'll be drunk. Yes. Oh, you know what? So Jermaine is doing our drinking game shit over at his channel. Is that he has his guests pick their own words when he comes in. They pick their own words and then they play like that. But they copied our drinking game.
That motherfucker.
You believe that shit?
We gotta get this shit copyrighted.
He'll be on the show. He'll be back on for Fallout.
I'm gonna give him shit.
He totally said something to me in the comment session about it. I'm like, what's up with this drinking game shit, bro? I didn't know y'all were riding dirty like that. He's like, yeah, we copied you on that, whatever. I think it is a compliment, but that's funny that they took our drinking game shit over to his place. I'm just a pop culture guy.
Come up with your own stuff. Boo.
That's okay, folks. Sometimes people gotta copy us. That's how it goes.
No, bad.
All right, well, just to take us off, folks, I'm gonna go ahead and play my favorite, your favorite video. Number 1, A+, Andres' favorite. That's right. And then there's Andres in the race, of course, right there.
No,
there he is, participating right there.
Fuck you.
And there he is. He's done. And then he pulls up and wins the race.
People, you know that midget guy that fell down with the penalty juice? That was Jeff. Jeff was the penalty juice guy.
I became that little black Diddy Juice guy?
Yep.
Wow, that's magic.
Yeah, magic. Or mutation.
You're just
well, he mutates back and forth, it looks like, because he looks like he's a lot taller and
Andres is
not
just
like
mad.
Skinner.
Andres is mad. He's frustrated because I haven't played his favorite video.
That girl got some ass too.
Andre's favorite video, baby. It's okay, Andres. You can admit it.
No, fuck you.
You know your night would not have been.
Close us out, Jeff.
Okay, sir. We love you, folks. God bless you. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you on Friday for Fallout episode 7. And on Saturday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, I'm going live with Jared Glassford and Imran from Jock and Nerd, and we're doing our second part of our Shogun recap show. Gonna be fire, bitch. Come check us out. What up? X-Men 97 episode 10. That's money with me and Andres, Time Cop, Dark Lord, fucking whatever. Time Lord. We're doing that shit.
Lord.
Let's do it. Let's get it.
Hey, yo, Jay, can we get some ratchet one time? Look, I don't want to talk. How you try and press the kid and really you was soft. All you know is capping, homie, you don't know the law. Pedal to the metal, you ain't